you ready? Like action. Welcome back to Saxy Rod Shop. We're going to give you a little update on a new project we got in here. We got a little 93, 94 Foxbody that came in. This thing's got a supercharged LT4, one of the Generation 5 LT4s with the 10-speed automatic. But it's here for us to build a custom set of headers and a full stainless exhaust. So what Kenny's got going on right now is he's mocking up all of his tubing, and we're trying to work around this front K-member kit and steering. So we're trying to do it without having to modify the rack in any way, so that if the rack ever goes bad, we can change it out with the given rack. So what do you got going on here, Kenny, right at the moment? Working on just mocking up your tubes?
Well, what we're trying to do is make all the primary tubes the same length. And these are step headers that go from 1 7/8 to 2, so we're trying to make the steps all in the same length. And when we do that, the exhaust flows better, it's smoother, it scavenges better. The second set of tubes, it's really kind of a bad deal because it's a space issue. And then everything has to fit in between the rack steering shaft and the frame rails here, and then they all have to come out and then meet at the collector, and it's kind of a spaghetti type effect.
Yeah, so he's mocking up his tubes right now. You can see how much space he's got. He's still got another tube that's going to come, I'm assuming, down in this area. Yeah. And then the fourth one will come around down in this area somehow. And then we're going to, as you can see back here in the back, he'll come back.
Collector will mount right here.
And I think we're going to, what are we using, the oval? We're going to be using the oval exhaust tubing. Come back, there'll be a crossover somewhere in here, and then it'll come back, and it's going to be full exhaust all the way out the back. So the mufflers will go in here. So yeah, we're just going to, it's going to be a challenge to get it all through here and everything, especially with the stepped headers, but he's doing the hard side first. Well, we think. He still has to work around the starter on this side. So we'll keep you up to date on what we're doing on this, and come out with a pretty nice little video on what we did here. So anyway, thanks for following along. So we also have this 68 Firebird that came in. It's been on our waiting list for an AC job. It's got a little 400 Pontiac in it. Customer's decided he wants us to kind of clean up the engine compartment and make it nice. But then yesterday when he dropped it off, he's also added a pretty good list of things to it. We got to fix all the wipers. They were having some issues. He has now also added, looking at doing a front belt serpentine system. So we're looking at maybe one of the billet specialty systems on there. They're kind of pricey, but probably the best product on the market for this application. We also got to work on the lower windshield molding. So the customer bought this car, and a lot of this stuff was already done. We're having to fix the wiper. The wiper transmissions were just wore out. And sloppy, and Brian's pulling it apart, starting to disassemble it for the AC. But we're also going to do, looks like Dakota Digital gauges, and an I Did It steering column, tilt steering column that he's added. So we'll keep you up to date on this project as it's going along also. Another update here on the Torino is we're making a small rear diffuser for underneath the car, and this actually sets under the gas tank. This will be the rear, so it actually goes on the car like this, and the gas tank sits right here up. But we've made all that here in-house, and he's working on that, but he's also doing some of his final welding back in this area. Does that help a little? Maybe. So he's doing all this final welding back here behind the panel, and we're researching, and we're going to look at doing sequential LED taillights in the stock light assemblies. We'll probably end up fabricating all that ourselves as well. But he's modified all this under here for that diffuser. He's starting to do a lot of the final welding before the body comes off the frame and goes on the rotisserie. And then once that happens, once it's on the rotisserie, one of the things we're planning on doing is we're going to turn the body upside down, and then we're going to make a fiberglass headliner up inside here that'll fit and clear all the roll cage. So we're real close to that starting to happen, and it's in welding, disassembly and welding stages. That's where we are at the moment. Ready? So let's take a look at the progress we've got going on here at the on the Foxbody with the exhaust or the headers. So far, when we talked earlier, he just had a couple of the preliminary tubes cut and bent for the first couple of exhaust ports. Now he's actually got both sides all mocked up and tack welded together. So as you can see, it's tight, but we've got clearance. One of the things that he did to make sure he had plenty of clearance, he uses like a paint stick, and we'll stack them up for different thickness clearance. And we've got clearance in all the locations that are critical. And now everything's not solid welded, so what he's going to do is he's going to heavy tack weld everything as much as he can with the pipes as a unit, and then he'll take them all off the flange and the collector and have the individual tubes and finish weld them and then put it all back together. And we'll do a final check fit against all of our clearances on that before we finish the rest of the exhaust. So he's got that done. You can see here where he's got the clearance on this U-joint for the steering. Of course, it's not all tight yet, nothing's specifically in location, but he's got room for paint stick there. Same thing here, we got plenty of clearance. We got plenty of clearance up here at the top. We still got to do the weld-in bungs for the O2 sensors, and it's tight on space, so they're going to go somewhere in this area, and they'll go from 9 o'clock, somewhere between 9 and 3 o'clock upwards. They won't go in the lower position, they'll go upwards. That way they won't fill up with condensation. And he's got one of the things that we had to verify when we did this, because we run out of space, make sure we can get the starter off and on without having to pull the header. So it will, believe it or not, you take this bolt, the first bolt out, and then you can use a socket on the second bolt, drop it out, and the starter will come out right through here. We've already tried all that, so once he starts welding all this, we'll verify that still stays, because this stuff will move around a little bit once he welds it solid. And then back here, we'll be going from the collector into an oval, and then our oval will continue back here to keep as much ground clearance as possible in and out of our muffler. And I'm not for sure what mufflers we're using. We have them here somewhere in the shop. They may be Magnaflows or Dynaflow, or who knows, it may even be, I doubt they'll be Flowmaster, because this customer's gonna want it a little quieter than normal. But then the old exhaust is still here, but this is just to give him an idea of where we're gonna be coming through. This had some 3-inch pipe on it, so we'll be coming back through here and tie into all that. So we'll follow up a little bit later, next couple of days, and see where we are on the rest of it. So stay tuned. So, current status on this 68 Firebird project. As you can see, we're doing the AC system on it. Well, on these vintage air systems, you got to take the stock heater box off, and it's some of the mounting screws for it are way up under the fender, which covers all of this, and the inner fender. So honestly, it's just as easy, if the bolts aren't rusted and rotted out, to pull the inner fender and the fender off as a unit. We can get in here, scrape it clean. The vintage air comes with a block off plate that covers all this. Now we're actually going to be bringing our hoses through here, the heater and AC hoses, because this customer wants a custom hose routing. And then we have on order a Billet Specialties black True Track system, the Sport, I think it's called the Sport system, for the front of this Pontiac 400. And that'll help clean up the front of the motor. And then when we get into it, we'll clean up some of this stuff and reroute some of these fuel lines and stuff as we're going on it also. And I believe we're also going to go to an electric fan on here and get rid of the mechanical fan. So that's kind of where we are right now. Brian's currently has the whole inside of the car, the dash apart. This car was a non-factory air car, so he's having to cut some holes in the factory center section of the dash to accommodate the controls, the AC controls, and the AC duct in the center. So he's currently working on that. And then the block off plate will go on here and be all sealed up, covers up all of this, and we'll paint it to match, kind of clean up and blend it in the best we can. So that's currently where we are on this, and we'll keep you up to date on what's going on with this. This will end up being a really nice system when it's all said and done. Got the exhaust done on the Mustang, but we sent the car home because it didn't run or drive. The customer still needed to finish up some of the fuel line plumbing and some wiring. And he got the thing running and driving. And when they were doing some tuning on it, they weren't happy with the gear ratio, so it's back now that it's running, and we're going to change out the gear ratio in the car. But once we get it up in the air, we'll get the thing up in the air, and then you can get some of those final videos of it all installed and done, the exhaust that is. And then we'll get some driving videos once we get the gear changed back in it. So that's why the car's back. Just wanted to show you right quick the final exhaust system, or the finished exhaust system on the little Foxbody. You can see earlier in the video we showed that we were to about this point, I think it was, somewhere in here. The X, I don't think
it was after here.
Was it? Okay, the X pipe was already done. So now we've got the mufflers, the MagnaFlows in here, and as you can tell, we had the oval pipe, went back into the round for the mufflers, and then we went up over the rear end and came out basically back where the customer had it originally. But the car sounds really nice, and so that's kind of where we are on this. Got it done, and we're doing some other things he's added to the car, so we're working on that at the moment.